starting with 1 million luck points. In this world, planet Earth had undergone great changes and humanity is faced with extreme danger. Luckily, humans have something called the Heaven Dao software. After downloading the software, Zhou Hao received 1 million luck points and used it to open a mystery box and obtain the 108 levels of Dragon Elephant Wisdom technique. Also, Zhou Hao realized that with enough luck points, he could even get his crush to sleep with him. In this world full of insect race warriors and demon race experts, it is ridiculously easy for Zhou Hao to accumulate luck points. Chapter 1. I'm speechless. This Heaven Dao software's mystery box is too scammy. I've opened more than 100 boxes and all I've gotten is trash. There's not a single high-level item, let alone a rare level item. That's right. I've been opening mystery boxes for almost half a month, but I only managed to get one intermediate level item. It can't be helped. It depends entirely on your luck whether or not you're able to get a rare level item. At Zhou City High School, in Class 4 of Grade 12. Zhou Hao looked at the podium expressionlessly, but his attention was focused on the virtual screen in front of him. He, too, was one of the users of the Heaven Dao software. After being invited to use the software the day before yesterday, Zhou Hao had thought that he had gotten lucky. However, he did not expect that there would be a large number of users in this software. As for mystery boxes, they were a popular feature of the software. Users were only charged 10 Heaven Dao coins for each mystery box they opened. There were all kinds of things inside the mystery box: Heaven Dao coins, roses, cultivation techniques, weapons, medicinal pills, and some special items. Although intermediate level items could be obtained from time to time and they also provided certain benefits, those things were not enough to change the fate of ordinary people. One's fate could only be changed by opening high-level items such as high-level cultivation techniques or medicinal pills. As for the rare level items, they were even rarer than a phoenix feather or a Kylan horn. Until now, only one person had ever gotten a rare level item. The item was a blood essence enhancer that directly increased that person's blood essence by 10 times, allowing that person to soar to the heavens in a single step and become one of the few experts in the area. After Zhou Hao familiarized himself with the mechanics of the mystery box, he was excited. After all, as long as he could draw a high-level item or a rare level item, he could turn the tables and become the best of the best at his school. However, the outcome was tragic. Just like the users who were in a heated discussion in the main hall now, Zhou Hao had spent all his money and even borrowed 10,000 Chinese yuan from his classmate Su Ling. However, up until now, he had only gotten some roses of unknown use. I can only rely on my luck points. Zhou Hao's gaze swept to the gray sign at the bottom left corner of the virtual screen. Luck points, 10 million, unactivated. These luck points appeared after he started using the Heaven Dao software, but it had always been in an unactivated state. Through chatting with other users, he also figured out one thing: the luck points system was something only he had. However, up until now, he still did not know how to activate the luck points, nor did he know what it was used for. More than 100 years ago, planet Earth suffered a huge change. Large numbers of cracks appeared everywhere and civilizations were found within these cracks. Among these civilizations, the demon race, the insect race, and the machine race were the most aggressive. After discovering planet Earth, they began to crazily kill the humans of planet Earth and conquer our land. The history teacher's impassioned voice interrupted Zhou Hao's thoughts. He closed the virtual screen and lay on the table. Those who were familiar with the personality of the history teacher knew that a lecture on the humiliating history of planet Earth for nearly 100 years was imminent. Although the history teacher had good intentions and simply wanted to motivate his students to work hard in their cultivation was still no easy feat and easier said than done. Among the 5,000 or so students in the entire Zhou City High School, only 5 of them had relied on the basic cultivation technique, the Dragon Elephant Wisdom technique, to cultivate to the 3rd level of blood essence. Moreover, all 5 of them were all students with good backgrounds. Other students like Zhou Hao, who came from an ordinary family, could not even reach the first level of blood essence. After 3 years of training, the students had long lost hope in cultivation. All of them were thinking about how to find a job that could help them in the cruel competition after graduation and live their lives happily. However, Zhou Hao was unwilling to give up. He did not want to stay in the city forever and live a cowardly life under the protection of martial artists. The only way for him to change his fate was for him to get a rare level item from the mystery box. But in the end, Zhou Hao shook his head helplessly and waited until class ended before leaving the classroom in a depressed mood. Opening the Heaven Dao software, a virtual screen that no one else could see appeared in front of Zhou Hao. He took a deep breath as he swept his eyes over the luck points that were still gray. As long as he could activate these luck points, he might have a chance. However, he was at a loss as to how to activate the luck points. Right at this moment, some small, green flies that were like flies buzzed over, making him unable to help but frown. It's these insect race spies again. How annoying. Many students nearby waved their hands in disgust and swatted these green insects to death. This was a flying insect, the lowest level handyman army of the insect ray. It did not have any attack power, but it could reproduce in large numbers like a mosquito. It was the most effective method for the insect race to spy on the humans on planet Earth. Almost every 2 days, these flying insects would spread out like a net and infiltrate the various bases of the humans. As long as humans saw such bugs, they would directly swat them to death, not giving them any opportunities. Zhou Hao also slapped a cyan flying bug to death in annoyance. Just as he was about to close the virtual screen, he saw the gray luck points suddenly light up. 10 million, luck explosion. Host is strongly advised to open the Heaven Dao mystery box. Chapter 2. Yes, I definitely will. Zhou Hao was overjoyed. Just as he was about to purchase the mystery box, he realized that he was out of money. At the lowest price, a single mystery box was equivalent to 10 Heaven Dao coins. Heaven Dao coins were extremely precious. Zhou Hao had previously borrowed 10,000 Chinese yuan from Su Ling. Other than buying the Qi amalgamation pill, Zhou Hao had exchanged the remaining 3,000 yuan for only 30 Heaven Dao coins. In other words, the ratio of yuan to Heaven Dao coins was 100, 1. Where can I get another 1,000 yuan? Zhou Hao was worried. It was impossible for him to ask Su Ling again as he couldn't bring himself to do it. And he was even more unwilling to ask his parents for money. This was because Zhou Hao's parents were already working very hard. Every day, they woke up early and worked late at night to provide for him to go to school and cultivate. They didn't even have much time to rest. After thinking about it, he decided that his only option was to borrow money from his classmates whom he was familiar with. At this thought, he immediately made a call. Hey, old Wei, can you lend me some money? How much? Zheng Wei asked casually. His family background was not bad and he had good relations with Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao hurriedly said, 1,000 yuan. Zheng Wei, how's I have to deal with something, talk to you later. Zhou Hao was speechless, but he understood. After all, 1,000 yuan was a lot of money for students. After that, he called a few classmates. The result was the same. No one was willing to lend him money. Zhou Hao's heart sank. If he couldn't borrow money, then he could only get a loan. However, he was only a student, and it would be very difficult for him to do so. Zhou Hao glanced at the last classmate's phone number. After hesitating for a long time, he finally called. How's I? What's the matter? A cough came from the other end of the line. Zhou Hao whispered, Hey, Zhang Yi, do you happen to have any money? The other party was silent. Just when Zhou Hao thought that Zhang Yi would hang up like the other students, Zhang Yi replied, How's I, did you encounter some difficulties? Yes, it's a little difficult, Zhou Hao lied. How much do you need? 1,000 will do. Once again, the other party was silent. After noticing this, Zhou Hao immediately said, if it's too difficult, then forget it. I'll think of another way. He knew that Zhang Yi's family also struggled to make money. After all, 1,000 yuan was almost 2 months' worth of food and cultivation. Actually, Zhou Hao had regretted asking Zhang Yi the moment he called Zhang Yi. Sure, where are you? I'll go over and give it to you now. Zhang Yi's words surprised and ashamed Zhou Hao, but he still decided to take a gamble. He took a deep breath and said, I'm still in school. All right, I'll be there soon. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Hao felt touched. He did not expect Zhang Yi to actually lend him money. About half an hour later, Zhang Yi arrived. He was wearing an old school uniform and looked exhausted. When he saw Zhou Hao, he immediately took out some crumpled yuan from his school uniform pocket. This version of the Chinese currency was made with a new type of energy after planet Earth had undergone great changes. The paper wouldn't crease easily unless one held it for a long time. Zhou Hao wanted to say that he would return the money as soon as possible, but the words were stuck in his mouth and he could only say thank you. It's nothing. We're all classmates, after all. Zhang Yi smiled. Zhou Hao could not help but ask, will you be all right after lending me the money? Zhang Yi shrugged his shoulders indifferently. I'm fine. We can work part-time in the cafeteria. At the very least, I won't starve to death. Since you need it urgently, go ahead and use it first. Everyone has their difficulties. Zhou Hao did not know what to say and could only thank him repeatedly. After separating from Zhang Yi, he took a bus back to his rented house. Since his parents were not around, Zhou Hao went to wash his face first. After sorting out his emotions, he walked to his room and opened the Heaven Dao software. Success or failure depends on this. Zhou Hao opened the mystery box page in the shop section. He took a deep breath and clicked on purchase coins. Swoosh! The 1,000 yuan in his hand disappeared. At the same time, the number of Heaven Dao coins on the virtual screen increased by 10. After scanning the luck points, he muttered to himself, it will all depend on this. Taking a deep breath, he skillfully purchased a mystery box. Do you want to open the mystery box? Yes. Zhou Hao's tone was firm. At this point, he naturally would not hesitate. Whoosh! The 1 million luck points were instantly depleted. Then, the mystery box moved. It spun for a moment before opening up like a gift box. Ding! Congratulations on opening the mystery box and obtaining a rare level Supreme Cultivation Technique Evolution card. This item has been placed into your backpack. Please take note. Rare level item. Zhou Hao's eyes widened and his heart skipped a beat. At the same time, a public announcement appeared on the Heaven Dao software. Ding! Congratulations user XX for opening a rare level item in the mystery box Supreme Cultivation Technique Evolution card. User may evolve his or her cultivation technique to perfection. In an instant, all the users were in an uproar. What the fuck, this is cheating. Rare level item, and I can even use it to evolve my cultivation technique. My luck is simply off the charts. I don't know whether I should be envious or jealous. Why couldn't it have been me? Fuck, I've already opened more than 300 mystery boxes. Let alone rare level cultivation techniques, I haven't even seen any rare level weapons. I've only gotten a bunch of roses and Heaven Dao coins, I feel like vomiting. Chapter 3. Looking at the envious comments of the other users, Zhou Hao finally felt relieved. The 1 million luck points was indeed awesome. Without any hesitation, he hurriedly turned to his personal page and opened his backpack. There was indeed a Supreme Cultivation Technique Evolution card inside with the words "Do you want to use it" floating on it. Yes. Zhou Hao thought to himself. Boom. Suddenly, a mysterious and vast energy quickly enveloped Zhou Hao. Large amounts of experience and comprehension regarding the dragon elephant wisdom technique surged into Zhou Hao's mind like a tide. At the same time, the blocked meridians in his body seemed to have been cleansed from top to bottom. All of his 108 meridians were opened up and instantly cleared. The blood essence in his body was boiling with the ferocity of dragons and elephants, and they were cleansing his limbs and bones along all the meridians. Zhou Hao could not help but throw a punch. The blood essence in his meridians exploded, and a vast and mighty force surged. His fist was like a sharp blade as it sliced through the air. A series of sonic booms echoed in the room. This, even Zhou Hao was stunned. He had expected that the cultivation technique upgraded by the software system would be extraordinary, but he hadn't expected for it to let him cause a sonic boom with a casual punch. After all, a sonic boom was no easy feat. Only a high-level martial artist's all-out attack would have a chance of triggering a phenomenon. How was this possible? Wait. Zhou Hao suddenly recalled something he had once heard from his history teacher. According to the history teacher, the dragon elephant wisdom technique was a basic cultivation technique that originated from a peak-level human expert. Back then, this expert had created this basic cultivation technique that was suitable for humans to cultivate on the planet Earth. In fact, it contained 36 levels. With this basic cultivation technique, that expert had beaten the high-level experts of the insect race, demon race, and machine race to the point that they could not even lift their heads. However, he was later ambushed by the foreign races and died in the crack. However, his basic cultivation technique survived and was passed down. However, the technique created by that expert was too difficult to cultivate. As time passed, most people could only cultivate to the 9th level, meaning that they opened 9 meridians in their bodies. But Zhou Hao had opened a whopping total of 108 meridians. Does that mean that I've already cultivated the dragon elephant wisdom technique to the 108th level? Zhou Hao was so excited that he nearly flew into the air. As expected of Heaven Dao software, how awesome! After thinking about it, Zhou Hao still decided to go to the school to test his true strength. This way, he would have an accurate understanding of his strength, lest he made a mistake in his estimation. If Zhou Hao wanted to do something, he would do it without hesitation. He changed into a black hoodie and a school uniform before returning to school. At the school, there was a training hall with a set of testing equipment. When he arrived at the school gate, Zhou Hao looked at the security guard at the gate and hesitated before walking over. Stop right there. After seeing that Zhou Hao was wearing his school uniform, the security guard lowered his guard. It's so late. What are you doing in school? Zhou Hao quickly replied, I'm in year 3. I left something in the classroom. The security guard did not suspect anything as this kind of thing happened often. He waved his hand and said, hurry up and go get it. Come back quickly. Thank you. Zhou Hao quickly entered the gate and walked along the corridor and past 2 teaching buildings before arriving at the training hall. He was about to enter when a low-pitched shout came from behind. Who is it? Zhou Hao did not expect that there would be someone else here. He quickly replied, I'm a year 3 student. I want to test my abilities. You are not allowed to enter the training hall at night. It will be open tomorrow at 9 am. This person was also the school's security guard and was responsible for guarding the training hall. After all, the testing equipment in the museum was very expensive. Mister, will you please make an exception this one time? I'll leave immediately after the test, Zhou Hao said. The security officer shook his head and urged, no, you have to leave this place. If you don't, I will bring you to the security room and you will have to wait for your teacher to pick you up tomorrow. Zhou Hao had no choice but to leave. However, when he reached the corner, he turned around to hide. Since he had come to school, he did not want to return empty-handed. On the other hand, the security guard patrolled the area once more and then returned to the front door of the training hall. He swiped at it with his card, opened the door, and went inside. Then the security guard waved his flashlight around the training hall to make sure no one was there before he turned and left. Seeing this scene, Zhou Hao could not help but pat his own head. He was so focused on testing his strength that he almost forgot the method to enter the training hall. Zhou Hao quietly caught up with the security guard who wasn't paying attention, and then knocked the guard down by slamming down his hand. The security guard fell to the ground. Zhou Hao was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control his strength well, so he only used a small portion of his strength. Even so, the security guard's neck became swollen. "He's not dead, is he?" Zhou Hao jumped in fright and quickly squatted down. He touched his finger to check that the guard was still breathing before he relaxed. Then, he took the security guard's card and quickly went to the training hall. Zhou Hao swiped his card and opened the door. After entering, he did not dare to turn on the lights. However, he had extremely powerful eyesight and could see in the dark just as well. There were several sets of testing equipment, and they were mainly divided into blood essence tests and strength tests. He first went to the blood essence testing device and placed his palm on the groove. Then, he circulated his blood essence. Boom! The blood essence circulating in the 108 meridians immediately boiled. As soon as his blood essence was activated, he heard a cracking sound as if something had ruptured. He looked down and was dumbfounded. Chapter 4. Never in his wildest dreams had Zhou Hao imagined that the value on the blood essence testing device would go off the charts just because he had casually circulated his cultivation technique. What kind of rubbish equipment is this? Speechless, he went to the strength measuring device. Due to the situation just now, he didn't dare to use too much strength and lightly hit the device. Boom! The testing tool that could withstand a full strength strike from a martial artist shattered with a cracking sound. Zhou Hao was stunned. He swore that he was really here to test his strength, not to smash things. Someone is trespassing in our school's training hall. Ring the alarm. A security guard noticed the guard lying on the ground and shouted. Ring ring. An ear-piercing alarm sounded. Zhou Hao didn't even think twice before escaping. He was so fast that the security guards did not even see his shadow before they realized that there was no one in the training hall. The news of the trespasser at the training hall soon reached the school leaders. It was late at night, and the principal, the dean, and the higher UPS of the school all rushed to the school. The testing equipment in the training hall was the root of their school. If it was lost, half of the school would be gone. Quick, check if there is any missing equipment. Principal Zheng shouted anxiously. The security guard, who had checked several times, checked again. Even the dean started checking with him. But after checking, the dean was dumbfounded. Principal Zheng's heart skipped a beat when he saw the dean's reaction. He wondered if they had lost the most important blood essence testing device. He hurried over. Seeing that the blood essence testing device was fine, he finally relaxed. However, when he walked closer and saw the value of the blood essence testing device, he was dumbfounded. 2,000 units. The test indicator needle was placed at the rightmost side. This, Principal Zheng was so shocked that he could not speak. 2,000 units was the peak strength of a high-level martial artist. The most outstanding student in the school, Su Ling, had only gotten 300 units. Principal, look at this. The dean pointed at the strength measuring device. Principal Zheng hurried over and stared at the highest value on the testing machine. 13,000 kilograms. Similarly, this was also the limit of a high-level martial artist. However, this didn't mean that the other party was only as strong as a high-level martial artist at his peak. It was just like how people would score 100 points on a test because they could only score 100 points, while others scored 100 points because the highest score on the test was only 100 points. It was obvious that in this situation, the person who had tested his strength on the devices was the latter. Principal Zheng took a deep breath. Could it be that a high-level martial artist secretly came to our school to test his strength? Principal Zheng couldn't bring himself to believe it. Why would a high-level martial artist come to their school to test their strength? If they had wanted to test their strength, surely they would go to the Martial Artist Union or the Underground Alliance's merchant shop to test it accurately. Captain Wang, did any school teachers come over tonight? The dean thought of the school teachers and quickly asked. The security captain shook his head and said hesitantly, the teachers didn't come, but a student who claims to be in year 3 did. A year 3 student? Principal Zheng and the dean exclaimed in unison. Right. A student wearing a school uniform and a black hat, another security guard said. Principal Zheng was excited. To the security room. Soon, a group of school executives rushed to the security room and turned on the surveillance cameras. Indeed. It was a student wearing Chucheng High School's uniform. However, due to the angle, they could not see the student's face. Then, they hurriedly checked the surveillance cameras of the training hall. It was still the same black hat student. Principal Zheng and the dean looked at each other and saw the ecstasy on each other's faces. Blood essence value of 2,000 units. Strength value of 13,000 kilograms. No matter which value it was, it represented the limit of a high-level martial artist. Principal Zheng and the dean would not be surprised if a senior martial artist who had been living in the wilderness outside the city reached such a standard. But now, the strength supposedly belonged to a year 3 student. This simply refreshed their understanding. Currently, among all the high schools in the 9 bases in the country, the most outstanding student is the direct descendant of the Cheng family, and his strength is that of an intermediate-level martial artist. The dean said word by word. Principal Zheng's face was filled with abnormal excitement. He took a few deep breaths and his eyes suddenly lit up. A genius, a peerless genius. The dean also nodded heavily. He reached the limit of a high-level martial artist in his 3rd year of high school. He is definitely an unparalleled genius that was born after planet Earth had gone through so many changes for the past 100 years. Most importantly, such a peerless genius belongs to our Chu City High School. Principal Zheng seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. When he heard the dean say Chucheng High School, he trembled with excitement. He had been a high school principal for decades and nothing out of the blue had ever happened. When it was almost time for him to retire, an exceptional genius had suddenly appeared in the school. How could he not be excited? Principal, the most important thing now is to find this peerless genius of our school and think about how to handle this matter. The dean was much calmer than Principal Zheng and said in a low voice. As soon as Principal Zheng heard this, his excitement gradually calmed down. After all, the surveillance camera had not captured the student's face at all. Moreover, the emergence of a peerless genius in the school was a huge matter. They had to think carefully about how to handle this. After some serious consideration, Principal Zheng turned around and looked at the other higher UPS and security guards. He said in a low voice, "No one is allowed to leak what happened tonight. We will announce it after we find the super genius." The other higher UPS and security guards nodded. But everyone knew deep down. How could such a huge matter be kept hidden? Chapter 5. The next day, the entire Chu City High School was in an uproar. What? Our Chu City High School has a peerless genius. It can't be. Our Chu City High School has been ranked at the bottom of all high schools in the city for 5 to 6 years. Why would there suddenly be a peerless genius? You don't believe me? Hadn't you noticed that the entry to the training hall had now been barred? Someone even saw the numbers on the blood essence testing machine and strength testing machine with their own eyes. Blood essence value of 2,000 units and strength value of 13,000 kilograms. Simply ridiculous. Zhou Hao had just entered the classroom when he heard these words. He was stunned. What peerless genius! Could it be because of what I did last night? Thinking of this, he quickly went forward to ask for an explanation. Last night, he had accidentally destroyed two of the top equipment in the school. When he returned home, he was not at ease and did not even sleep well. Seeing Zhou Hao, the students pursed their lips. You must be ignorant. Something big happened in our school last night. What is it? Zhou Hao asked. A student secretly snuck into the training hall yesterday for strength testing. The test value even reached the limit of a high-level martial artist. Don't you think it's awesome? The more the other person spoke, the more excited he became, as if was the peerless genius himself. Oh, I see. Zhou Hao was now certain that the peerless genius they spoke of was no other than himself. However, he did not want the school to pursue the matter any further. After all, he could not afford to pay for the too expensive testing equipment. Maybe it's fake news. The best student in our school is Su Ling and she is only at the 3rd level of blood essence. He shook his head. A female student sneered, Zhou Hao, what do you know? Can you imagine the strength of a peerless genius? A few of his classmates chimed in, that's right. A summer insect cannot talk of ice. The world of peerless geniuses is not something you can understand. Zhou Hao, you should at least think about how to get to the 1st level of blood essence. Zhou Hao was speechless. He could not be bothered to continue talking nonsense with these ignorant classmates. He scanned the classroom and frowned when he saw that Zhang Yi was not there. Usually, Zhang Yi was the first to arrive. Where's Zhang Yi? He asked a classmate who was close to Zhang Yi. Oh, Zhang Yi, I think he's working in the cafeteria, the classmate replied. Zhou Hao immediately felt guilty. He had borrowed 1,000 yuan from Zhang Yi yesterday, causing him to have to work in the canteen early in the morning. He hurriedly left the classroom and rushed to the canteen. By the time he arrived, the canteen had been cleaned. Zhou Hao looked around and saw Zhang Yi squatting in a corner. He was eating a steamed bun with pickles. The steamed bun was dirty and was probably left by someone else. Zhang Yi, he called softly as he walked over. Zhang Yi looked up and saw that it was Zhou Hao. He smiled. Why are you here? Zhou Hao could not help but ask, is that all you eat? I'm used to it. It's nothing. Zhang Yi smiled. Hold on, I'll finish it right away. As he spoke, Zhang Yi wolfed down the food. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I shouldn't have borrowed money from you, Zhou Hao said regretfully. Zhang Yi quickly said, what are you talking about? We're all classmates. It's natural for me to help you when you're in trouble. Seeing that Zhou Hao was about to continue, Zhang Yi changed the topic. By the way, did you hear about the peerless genius that appeared in our school last night? A lot of people are talking about this matter. Even people from our class are talking about it. At this point, he said in a low voice, what happened last night is most likely true. I was arranged by the school to clean the training hall today and saw the values on the two devices with my own eyes. That's amazing. If I could reach a tenth of that, I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. Zhou Hao looked at Zhang Yi's envious face and said firmly, Zhang Yi, believe me, you will achieve it one day. Hopefully. Zhang Yi said casually. Zhang Yi's family was even poorer than Zhou Hao's and he also had a younger sister who was in junior high school. There were very few resources that were provided to Zhang Yi. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The news of Chu City High School having a peerless genius had already spread throughout the entire city's upper echelons. Many big shots that could only be seen on television even visited Chu City High School. But this had nothing to do with Zhou Hao. He was thinking about how to earn money quickly. Firstly, he wanted to return the money he borrowed and also improve his family's life. Secondly, he wanted to buy more mystery boxes. In the principal's office. After receiving many important people from the city, Principal Zheng and the dean were exhausted. They sat lazily in their office chairs without caring about their image. The dean prepared 2 cups of hot water and placed them on the table. He frowned and said, "Principal Zheng, it seems that the leaders from the bureau don't believe that a super genius has appeared in our high school. The city lord's attitude is also unpredictable, and it seems that it will be very difficult to take advantage of this opportunity to apply for some resources." Principal Zheng didn't mind and said, "It's understandable that the bureau's leaders and the city lord are cautious. After all, this is a big matter and they can't afford to make any mistakes. Besides, without meeting the genius personally, how would they believe it so easily? I definitely wouldn't." The dean nodded. Indeed. This matter was indeed somewhat ridiculous. Their Chu City High School had been ranked at the bottom of all the high schools in the city for so many years. For them to suddenly claim to have a peerless genius, anyone who heard it would think that their school's leaders were lying. Naturally, their motive for lying would be to get more resources from the city. "What should we do now?" asked the dean. Principal Zheng took a sip of hot water and smiled like a fox. "It's very simple. We have to find that peerless genius.